לראש Yeshiva, Arav Achosid, Arav Moshe Nosson Halevi פישער is going to give us teach us halach in הלכות הבחירה. Moshe Nosson, בבקשה.
So, the Yonim that are mentioned in Hilchos Beis Abchira, not a big arichos about it, but there was a mention about it in Hilchos Beis Abchira, and the first Mishnah in Talmud and the first Mishnah in Midah, they all mention this place. We'll talk a little bit more about this place and some of the Yonim that are shaykh to that place, even though the arichos advarim is not so much in Hilchos Beis Abchira, but advarim kshurim akoponim. So I'll read here from the one halach in the Rambam Hilchos Beis Abchira that mentions the place we're talking about, and we'll take it further. In the last Perek of Beis Abchira, Perek Ches Halacha Hey, the Rambam is writing about the dinim of Shmiras Beis Hamikdash. V'heichan hayu sheimim, where are the places in the Beis Hamikdash where the Shmira needs to be done? So you know this, for the Kohanim, there's three places for the Kohanim and the rest of the Levim. So Kohanim hayu sheimim, the Beis Haftinas, the Beis Hanitzutz, the Beis Hamoik. These three places, Tinas, Nitzutz, and Moik. And then now he explains which kind of places are these. Beis Haftinas and Beis Hanitzutz, hoyu aliyos, v'nuyos b'tzad sharei azor. So two out of these three places, Beis Haftinas and Beis Hanitzutz, are a higher floor that was built over some of the gates of the Azor. He doesn't explain over here which sharei azor it is. Beis Haftinas could be near the Shar HaMayim. He goes on, he's mamshich, who was there? The young Kohanim and the Beis Hamoik. What I want to talk about a little bit more is the inyan of the Beis Haftinas. So as we see over here, it's mentioned over here in the Kasher that that's one of the places of the Shmir of the Kohanim. What else do we know about Beis Haftinas and who are B'chlal, what's the name of Haftinas, what's it referring to? So, there's more places, but here in the Sechtes Yuma we find in a few places where the inyan of Lishkas Beis Haftinas is being mentioned. So in the Mishnah in the first Perek of Yuma, talking about the Hamas for Yom Kippur. And we know 7 days before Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol is separated and they bring him to a special room. And now here in the Gemara it mentions that he had two special rooms in the Beis Hamikdash. One is Lishkas Bahedrin and one is Lishkas Beis Haftinas. So the Mishnah says when they give him over to the Ziknei Kehuna, Ve'halu the Beis Haftinas, they bring him into this Aliyah's Beis Haftinas. What's he coming to Aliyah's Beis Haftinas for? Gemara means a Braise. Tana L'Lamdei Chafina. That on Yom Kippur the Kohen Gadol needs to do the Avedas Hakteres, and like the Gemara later on mentions, there's many very difficult things. Some Avedas Kosher Shebem Mikdash. So even the Kohen Gadol, he had to be trained exactly how to do the Chafinas Hakteres, and that was done in this room, in Lishkas Beis Haftinas. That's where he was trained and practiced the Avedas Hakteres. So we're mentioning it's Haftinas. So who's the Haftinas after all? So there's a later Mishnah in Yuma, the third page, and talks of an earlier Mishnah mentioned about people that made upgrades in the Beis Hamikdash, and the Chacham were Mishabech then on the different upgrades that they made. To mention some of those things, it says the Kalfi of Yom Kippurim, the raffles they used for the Shnei Aseirim, it used to be of wood, and there was a certain Kohen Gadol ben Gamla, he changed it to Zohar. That was the Kir and all the Kohen, so different people that made Shinuyim the Teva in the Beis Hamikdash, and they were praised for it. The following Mishnah is Ve'edu Lignai, people that were also involved and they had chashuv jobs in the Beis Hamikdash, but the Chachamim were not very happy with the way they acted. And there's a certain tzad hashava between all these families that I mentioned, or individuals, but they had a special chush, a special talent that wasn't widely known, and they kept it as a family secret. The B'shum Eifen would not negal to anybody else how this thing is meant to be done. And the Chacham were not happy about that. As the Gemara says, they were doing it l'chleidam, that they should be the only ones that need to be called. Nobody else should be able to do it. And one of this is the inyan of Beis Haftinas. So Beis Haftinas le'yotzu le'lamed ha'maisa ha'kteres. They were the experts. This family of Haftinas were the experts on preparing the kteres. And the Shulei, they didn't want to share it with others. The Chachamim were not happy about it. The Kesher the Gemara over there brings in a very interesting braise that not only were the Chachamim not happy with the behavior of the Haftinas and so too the other families of Lechem Aponim, V'chulu, they actually tried to replace them. You're not acting the right way. We'll find others because the Chayes are given on this. So what happened? Tell the Rabbana, Beis Avtinas hoy bekim de meise akteres leirotzu lelam. Sholchu chachamim ve'viu umnim Alexandria shel Mitzrayim. So they brought others. In the Reises in Eretz Yisrael, there was nobody else that claimed to be able to do the same. In Mitzrayim and in Alexandria, they found other big experts for meise akteres. V'hoyu yoydim lefatim kemoisam. Lefatim is like say pitum akteres, the whole mixture, exactly the measurements and the weight. All something you can't machen the same, just as good. But one thing they couldn't do. They hoyu yoydim lehalis osham kemoisam. Maila osham, that it should go up in a straight column, that they were not able to accomplish, at least in the same way as the people of Avtinas. From Avtinas would go mamish straight up like a stick. These other umnim, lekana would break up like the rays of the sun. Lekana. So they brought them in for a trial, and they saw that after all said and done, they're not as good. They can't make it as perfect as the people of Avtinas. The report came back to the Chachamim. No, we looked and we searched and we found the second best, and they can't do the job as good. Everything after all is to the covenant of the Eibishter, and we have to do it in the best way. They should wanted to bring them back. And now they took advantage even more. They asked for even a higher salary, and what Enoch gave them, and this is the story of the Avtinas. Later, another few stories about this. Generations later, it was they were smachnia themselves, and from then on, the Chacham said they shouldn't talk anymore about their gnai. They did tshuva on this guy that they had. Later on, it was mistak. So, I'll call upon him. An in halacha that comes out of here is like this. Ma'aseh says that these ummin, they brought them for a trial. Mashmos hadvarim is that they served, and they were doing it for a meshach zman. And then they saw that it's not as good, so the Chacham said, you don't keep them anymore. But Kuntachet, that the inyan of the Maila Osham, that the Hashan Akteris has to go straight up, they weren't really doing it right. As they state, they couldn't do it. So how was the Akteris being done all this time if the Maila Osham wasn't really being done properly? So the Yosef in the Simon in the Rechaim Kufam Gimel talks at the end of Seder Atfilah, say Peter Makteris Ketzat, Kufam Beis and Kufam Gimel, both places he talks about it. Some people say that you should be careful not to say some money Akteris only Metech Haksad, only to read it from the Siddur. Since Mechis Rech and Post Samarel Chayim Misa, and it's Rechonra that even the B'dibur you missed out one. What you do is unholy, so they count the fingers, not to be machzir from the Saman Monim. You don't have to go like that. It brings different svaras. One thing he points out is, if anything is ma'akev, it's only the Yudal of Samimon, only the 11 main Samimon. The other things that I mentioned, the Beis Kashina, and Kafris, and Kama other, and Yonim, that's a in the Sofis. That's for sure not ma'akev. And the Techad Barim he says, Ma'ila Oshan is also not ma'akev. How do we know Ma'ila Oshan is not ma'akev? So it means from the story in the Gemara that we just learned over here. You see, these people of Tanish and Mitzrayim, they came, they couldn't do Ma'ila Oshan, and he says, where did they make a trial? The Keteiris of the Beis HaMikdash, you can't use anywhere else. So the trial had to be that they did it in the Beis HaMikdash. They were makted in the place where you're supposed to be makted. And they had some time to try out, and it wasn't Ma'ila Oshan. So Elamai, that Ma'ila Oshan is not Ma'akiv. It's something good, better. Ahidum in the mitzvah. And Amuvcha, it's not Ma'akiv the That's what the Yosef said. So many Mefarshim, the Taz of the Shulchan Aruch, because it begins the Gemara asked that it's a stirim mefuresh. The Gemara later on the Yuma says Ferish clearly that it is Ma'akiv, and if it's not Ma'ila Osham, is Chayiv Misif. And that Nun Gimel. Okay, the Gemara brings psukim from Parshas Achrei. Two psukim, that both of them are Fidrashas Chazal is going on the inyan of the Ma'ila Osham. Ki be'onan ira la kaperes. You do the psukim when Farish that pasuk ki be'onan ira la kaperes, that it means that they should already put the Keteiris on the Gecholim outside. And when you come in, there's already an honor. But the Chacham said that they were wrong. You see from the other pasuk that they're wrong. If us means what's ki be'onan ira? Be'onan ira means that there should be the inyan of Ma'ila Osham. That's one pasuk. Listen, b'mayla Osham should be more Osham. And then there's another pasuk, v'chisan nan akteris is akaperis. Both psukim are going in the inyan of Ma'ila Osham. And the Kreis says, Ho, loy nosam bo maila osham. Ish a chitzer achas mikol samaneo chayiv misa. Rashi concludes clearly that if it's missing maila osham or one of the other samanim chayiv misa, it's maila osham is ma'akiv and not kedekach, that if you're ma'akiv about it is chayiv misa. This is the kasha that's asked on what the Yosef says based on the other Gemara. In other words, it's really a stira between the two Gemaras. Yeah? The Gemara that from the Ches we're seeing the story of the Abtinas and Kandish from Mitzrayim, that somehow Teilis was okay without the Maila Hashem. And on Daf Gimel it says clearly that without a Chayiv Misa, which means that it's not together Teilis before. The Halichos and the first Mishnah, the Melech in the Rambam, the Chodesh, they say an answer like this. There's a difference between the Keteiris of the Kol Yoim and the Keteiris of Yom Kippur. And the Medayik that this is the Shitas Rambam for sure is like that. That there's a difference in this scene of Maila Osha on the daily Keteiris and the Keteiris of Yom Kippur. What do we see in the Rambam? So the Rambam in Hilchos Klei Amigdosh, when he talks about the Keteiris of the Kol Yoim, he says based on the test. Nosem l'teicha dvash koshu poslo, honey makes it possible. Chiser echad misama v'neo chayiv misa. If you're missing one of the samanim, chayiv misa. He doesn't mention. He mentions if you're missing one of the samanim, but doesn't mention if you're missing the Maila Osha. So this is in Hilchos Klei Amigdosh shebekol yaim, Teilah shebekol yaim. If you're missing one of the samanim, chayiv misa. Missing Maila Osha, he doesn't say anything about that. But then you have in Hilchos Avedis Yom Kippurim, he talks about the Keteiris of Yom Kippur. Then Pedikei. Now this is one of the last halachas. Hilchos Avedis Yom Kippurim. Pedikei halacha chafei. Chaser men akteris echad misamanel begins with the same halacha that he said over there. Missing one of the samani akteris. Oy maila oshan, or it's missing maila oshan chayiv misala. Shenemer v'lo yomus kiban nero la kaferis. So Hilchos it begins with the same thing in Chiser echad misamanel. By the Keteiris shebechol yom he only says that. By Yom Kippur is Meisif, it's missing on the Samanim or it's missing Maila Oshem. So you see the Shittas Rambam is Takid, there's such a Braisa, there's such a din that Maila Oshem is Ma'akiv, and if you don't do it Chayiv Misa, that's only Yom Kippur and not the Kol Yom. And the Sichas Chedik Yudal, the Rebbe is Mevayah of Pizeh, a diuk in the Sifri, on the Posik, Yasimu Kteira Ba'apecho. You find it in Brachos of Moshe Rabbeinu, to the Shevet Levi, Yasimu Kteira Ba'apecho, the Chol Lam is Bechecho. Even of Kteira is one of the special Avedis. So the Sifri says, what you see Mukteidah Ba'apecho is Lefnai V'Lefnim, the Keteiris of Lefnai V'Lefnim. So that is Medai, why only the Keteiris of Lefnai V'Lefnim? It's more special, but the you see Mukteidah Ba'apecho the whole year. Kol Hashon Kula. Why is the Sifri saying, you see Mukteidah Ba'apecho is Dafki the Keteiris of Yom Kippur? According to Shittas Rambam, it's understood. Because Dafki by the Keteiris of Yom Kippur over there, the Maila Oshem is Ma'akid. Like it shoots straight up. It shows on the Ruchni that it's going, it goes milamata ad l'mayla adein taftis. Teda ba'apecho is mayla osham that brings it all the way up, and that's Dafka in Yom Kippur. Okay, the Meister is Arichos de Geshakli V'Tari because the Gemara over there in Yom Daf Gimel where it talks about the mayla osham, the Hemshech HaGemara, some Amirayim for sure say the Feidish that it's not only Yom Kippur, it's also Kol Hashon Lekula. Gemara is Arichos that because there's before we kiss there's two psuk in Parshas Achrei that talk about the Onom, which means the Maila Osha. According to one of the answers, one is for Yom Kippur, one is for Shari Yimei Sashana. So Tashayla, what's the pshat in the Shittas Rambam and the Kniyah the Bishos are going with that, they're saying that it's different in Kippur and the rest of the year. The Melech says that it's a machlekes, most of the answers in the Gemara don't hold like that. We go according to the others. One Nekuda from the Gemara there, which the Melech says an interesting thing. Towards the end of that Shakla V'Tari, the Gemara brings the inyan of the Shnei Bnei Adam that the died through the Maisa Akteris. And the Gemara has a half a minute to say that what did they do wrong, for which chet did they die, that they didn't put in Maila Osha. So everything else was good, with Apiatziva, also giving good and fine, it was just missing the Maila Osha. And the Maisa, the Braisa says no, that it can't be because it could be that there was already a tzivui to have Maila Osha before that, but this that Yechayiv Misa, if you don't have Maila Osha, that wasn't said yet, so it can't be that was the reason. The reason was Hira Allah B'fnei Rama. So the shaila is the Maisa of Bnei Adam it wasn't on Yom Kippur, it was Chodesh Nisan. I didn't want to say this sheet that only on Yom Kippur it's ma'akiv, but this wasn't the story of the Hakan. The Gemara tried to say that by the story of Ne'arin, the Chayiv Misa because it was missing Ma'ila Osha. I said that according to that Havamin of the Gemara, it's different svaras where they brought the Ketores, the Shnei Ne'arin. Because Pidum Askana sa Gemara that they talk about Mitzvah Lahavim and Ahediyat, that's referring to the Mizbeach HaChitzna, but there is Mitzvah Lahavim and Ahediyat. But the Pidum Havamin, we would say that they brought the Ketores in Kodesh HaKadosh. The Shnei Ne'arin, another Vavi, where they bring the Ketores, there's three possible places. The place where you normally bring Ketores in Mizbeach HaZav. And here, the Kabbalah was that they brought it in a different place. Either outside the Mizbeach HaChitzon or in Kodesh HaKadosh. So the feed the tzaddik is in Kodesh HaKadosh, and then it's al derech the Ketores of Yom Kippur. The Chisan al Ateres Sakaperes, al derech the Ketores of Yom Kippur. That's some of the Kudus of this Shakal V'Tariyah. This is one according to the Shittas Ram, Shittas Abbas Yosef, but just one last Nekudah. But there's a different way of answering the two Gemaras. I mean, if you take the Gemara and Dafin Gimel Kipshutai, that some of them Yeroim say, and it could be the others I'm asking, that my Lashon is Ma'akiv Kol Hashana Kula. If you say that it is Ma'akiv Kol Hashana Kula, not like Shittas Rambam. So how would you understand the story in Aflamet Ches with the Alexandrians from the Mitzrayim that they didn't do my Lashon? So there's a different answer, which Bemis says in Tesis Yishonim. Scientists say that the Gdei Achreinim, the Mishnah Malach, and others, didn't have it, didn't see it, so they don't mention it. Mother brings another Achin that says it, and he's Deiches Dvar of the Maisa Tesis Yishonim says the same thing. Kaposhet answer, it's what the truth in Yeshiva Balabatish answer, that now they didn't have my Lashon Bechlal, these other Umnim, the Alexandrians from Mitzrayim. They didn't have that best high quality my Lashon that these people have. But that was something you have. It didn't work as good. Esav Achar Sheshmoy my Lashon Hoy Makirin Anshe Alexandria. He said, "Dictators Chayiv Misa." That's what we would say. Yeah, you have to have some kind of a my Lashon. And some say that that's the kavanah of Rashi also over there. Rashi says they didn't have Lahalis Lashon. Shloi Hoy Makirin BeEsav Shmailes Lashon Zeikev from the Tamar Kemak. Rashi finished. He doesn't say something. They didn't have my Lashon. They didn't have one that does it Zeikev from the Tamar, that does it in the best way. So these are two of the Eifanim of being invited to singing. I'm waiting for the Gula Shleimer says the Hemshech of that story of the Umish of Alexandria. And then brings out a Yirah. A Yirah says people for every person the whole game. You come to realize that they sent away these Beis Avtinas, but at the end of the day it didn't work out. They had to bring them back and even higher the salary. The state of the Gemara says, "Mikan Omer Benazai, Yishimcha Yikraucha, Ubimkaimcha Yeshivucha." That since says this union of Beis Avtinas Mulayla was the Ketores was meant to be for Beis Avtinas, and with all the efforts that were made to push them out of their job, it's going to geholfen. Ein Adam neged Mucham Lechavere. And the end is a Malchus negat b'Chaver to afilu kimlein nimal. That is there when it comes time for the Malchus to change, it has to bring the few big noise. Is it doesn't even like you hear, it doesn't wait. Certainly the Kol HaKitzon is now is the time for Malchus and Melech HaMashiach to put it on.
Wir müssen schon gleich noch mal right after Mai there will be a siyum with the Rav of the Rebbe and everybody is invited to stay here. Oh.